To make this nest ring, you need your chain nose pliers, your cutters, and a ring mandrel with sizes on it, and a planishing hammer or your whammer hammer, the steel end. Obviously wire and some little semi-precious chips, and then you could make a sort of nest of these chips on your ring. You can also use pearls and other beads, and also just one bead for the centerpiece. So really it works with anything, and this one's got spirals on the side because I've used a bit more wire to wrap around as a setting. So to get started, you're going to get your ring mandrel, find out your ring size, and then you're going to wrap 0.8 or 20 gauge wire around the size of the ring that you want. So I've wrapped it around 5 or 6 times. It can be a bit more. It depends how thick you want the shank of the ring to be. So once you've got a few coils, you take the short cut end and bind all the coils together using that little end, and then just push it down with your chain nose pliers so that all those coils are secure in one place. And you've cut it off with a long tail, and you're going to use that long tail, which is about 5.5, 6 inches or so, to bind the whole perimeter of those coils. So you're going to bind them all together. You don't have to do this very beautifully, but do try and keep the whole thing tight so that you haven't got gaps between those binds. Otherwise those gaps will end up on the ring shank. So you can see as you're binding, the wire will be work hardening. So you might need your pliers like I am to pull it through. And when you come to the end, just squish the end down. So that's what it's going to look like. A bit of a mess, but we'll get there. So now put it onto your metal ring mandrel or triblet, and with a planishing end of your hammer, hammer it onto the ring mandrel. And you're sort of doing a stroke hammering. And what's happening is it's stretching and flattening all these wires and compressing them into one solid to create a solid ring. So you keep doing that, and don't forget to turn it over because the mandrel is tapered. Once you've got it the size that you want, and sometimes this happens, you've got the little cut end can sort of stick out, so cut it off and go back and hammer that flat and down. So just keep going until it's the size that you want. You can see how much it can be stretched. And now you've got a solid band ready to wear, but we're actually going to make a little nest of semi-precious chips and wire those on. So I'm using 0.4 of a millimeter, and that's the gauge I'm using, and I'm going to look at the area of the ring that I want to cover with my little stones. And these little chip stones are drilled, so I'm going to add a couple on. They're really quite small. Sit them on the base of the shank of the ring, and then with the other side, other wire, I'm just picking a few more up. And basically you fill that space. You don't want to overcrowd it so it's too bunched up, but just pick the colours that you want. Maybe they're going to go with an outfit. And then take the ends of those thin wires and just wrap them around underneath those chips so that they disappear. So now we've got those secured. I'm going to cut another length. This is about 8 inches of 0.8 again. We take the middle and wrap one side of the wire round and then take the other wire so that it completely creates this little frame or nest around all those beads, and then you wrap the ends just by those semi-precious chip beads, bind it on, and then cut off the excess. And I like to keep the cut ends on the outside of the ring so that when you put your finger through, there's no spiky end of wire. Put it back onto your ring shank, just do a few adjustments, making sure that everything's nice and looks nice, and then it's ready to wear. And it's as simple as that. That's a little nest ring of semi-precious chips. As I say, you can use pearls, you can use beads, and just maybe one bead. Thanks so much for watching.